The strange story of a pious woman. The woman who chose light over darkness. The village of Noorabad, soft background sound, the call of the azan, echoing through narrow streets. Children run past mud brick homes, laughter filling the air. Narrator, voiceover. In a world where hearts are hardened by greed, where kindness is rare and truth is silenced, there still exist souls who shine like lanterns in the dark. This is the story of one such woman, Amina, whose strength was not in wealth or power, but in her unwavering faith and purity of heart. The silent helper. Amina was a simple woman living in the small village of Noorabad. Every morning before dawn, she would light a lamp, perform her prayer, and whisper a silent dua for those who wronged her. Her husband, Kamal, had died 3 years earlier, leaving her with a young daughter, Noor. The villagers often spoke about Amina, some with admiration, others with suspicion. In a world that judged women quickly and forgave them slowly, Amina had learned to walk with quiet dignity. She worked as a tailor, stitching clothes for neighbors who could barely afford to pay her. But her hands never refused anyone. Her needle was her weapon against hunger, and her faith her armor against despair. The trial of rumors. One afternoon, as Amina handed over a stitched dress to an old woman, a few women gathered outside her house, whispering. Woman 1. They say the landlord visits her house at night. Woman 2. A widow living alone. People talk. Maybe she invites trouble herself, Amina heard their words. For a moment, her hands froze. Pain flickered across her face, not for herself, but for the example it set for her daughter. She took a deep breath, raised her head, and smiled. She whispered softly, "When people cannot understand your light, they call it a fire." That night she told Noor a story before bed, of a dove who carried water in her beak to extinguish a forest fire. Noor: Mama, did she stop the fire? Amina: No, my love. But she did what was right, even if it was small. Allah loves effort, not results. And with that, Noor fell asleep under the soft flicker of the lantern. The landlord's offer. The next day, Malik Rafiq, the village landlord, arrived. His eyes scanned the small courtyard as he sat on a wooden chair, his gold ring glinting in the sun. Malik Rafiq: Amina, you are wasting your skills sewing for these poor people. Come work for me in the city. I will pay you 10 times more. Amina: Thank you, Malik Sahib, but my risk, sustenance, is where Allah places it. Malik Rafiq, smirking: Think carefully. Opportunities like this don't come twice, Amina. Neither does self-respect. He left in silence, his pride wounded. But Amina knew. Rejecting a powerful man would have consequences. The test of honor. Within a week, rumors spread faster than fire in dry grass. Some said she had insulted Malik Rafiq. Others claimed she was hiding a secret. The village council, all men, summoned her. She stood before them in her plain white scarf, calm as the morning breeze. Elder: Amina, these rumors bring shame to the village. You must explain yourself, Amina. Respected elders, I cannot control what people say. I can only control what I do, Elder, sternly. A woman must guard her reputation. Amina: And a man must guard his conscience. Shall we speak of both or only one? The courtyard fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. One of the elders, old Haji Karim, looked at her with moist eyes. Haji Karim: This woman speaks truth. Let her be. The Almighty is witness to her heart. The crowd dispersed slowly, but Amina's spirit stood taller than ever. The miracle of kindness at evening, a storm hit Noorabad. Roofs cracked, trees fell, and the small mosque's roof collapsed. Amina and Noor ran into the rain to help. She covered an injured child with her shawl and carried him to safety. When dawn came, the villagers saw her walking barefoot through the mud, distributing food she barely had. Her white scarf, once a symbol of purity, was now soaked and stained, but it glowed brighter than ever. One woman who had once gossiped about her whispered, "Maybe she truly is blessed." And in that moment, hearts began to change. True strength is not loud. It doesn't boast, and it doesn't demand attention. It simply endures, quietly, gracefully, with patience. In a world that doubted her, Amina chose light. And sometimes that choice alone is the beginning of a miracle. Amina, a widowed tailor in the humble village of Noorabad, rejected the powerful landlord Malik Rafiq's offer and his unspoken intentions. Her courage and faith led to slander, but also slowly awakened respect in the hearts of those who witnessed her quiet strength. The fire and the forgiveness, the wound of pride. The rain had stopped, but the storm in Malik Rafiq's heart had not. He sat in his mansion, staring at the firewood crackling before him. His pride, wounded by Amina's refusal, had turned into a poisonous anger. Malik Rafiq, muttering, "She thinks she can insult me before the whole village? I will make her regret it." He summoned 2 of his men. Malik Rafiq, "Spread word that her clothes are cursed. No one will buy from her again. Let her starve on her principles." The men obeyed. By the next morning, the market buzzed with lies. People avoided Amina's house. Her customers vanished. Days turned into weeks, and her savings ran out. Hunger and hope. Inside her small home, Amina's hands trembled as she stitched under the dim lamp. Noor sat beside her, watching silently. Noor, "Mama, are we poor now?" Amina, smiling softly, "No, my child. We are rich in patience." She looked at the nearly empty flour jar and whispered, "Ya Allah, you never forget the sparrows. Surely you will not forget us." That evening there was a knock on the door. It was Haji Karim, holding a sack of flour and rice. Haji Karim, "Daughter, I heard people have turned away from you, but Allah never turns his face from those who trust him." Amina, "May he reward you, uncle. You are an answer to my dua." She accepted the gift with humility, her eyes glistening with gratitude. The fire. A few nights later, Malik Rafiq's storehouse caught fire. The flames danced high into the sky. The villagers rushed with buckets, shouting and panicking. Amid the chaos, Amina appeared, covering her face from the smoke. Villager, "Stay back, Amina." "It's dangerous." Amina, "There are people trapped inside." Without hesitation, she ran in. Inside, 2 workers lay unconscious from the smoke. With trembling arms, she dragged them out one by one, coughing, her scarf partly burned. The villagers gasped. The same woman they had wronged was now saving lives. Malik Rafiq arrived, eyes wide in disbelief. Malik Rafiq, You risked your life for my men?" Amina, weakly, "No one deserves to die in fire, not even my enemy." And she collapsed from exhaustion. The change of heart. The next morning, Amina woke up in her home to find Malik Rafiq sitting quietly by her bedside. His arrogance had melted into remorse. Malik Rafiq, softly, "I wronged you, Amina. My pride blinded me. I took your bread, your honor, your peace. Yet you saved my men." Amina, "A heart that seeks forgiveness should not be left in darkness. We are all tested, Malik Sahib, just in different ways." He bowed his head. Malik Rafiq, "Allow me to repay you." Amina, If you wish to repay me, treat others with justice. That is all I ask." For the first time, Malik Rafiq's eyes filled with tears. The ripple of goodness. In the following weeks, Malik Rafiq changed. He lowered taxes for the poor, repaired the mosque roof, and ordered fair treatment for widows and laborers. When people asked why, he would simply say, "Because a woman who had nothing gave me everything, forgiveness." Amina's reputation rose higher than ever. People began to visit her not just for tailoring, but for advice, comfort, and prayer. Even the women who had once gossiped about her came one evening, their heads bowed. Woman 1. "Sister Amina, forgive us. We spoke out of ignorance." Amina, smiling, "Hearts that admit wrong are already forgiven." And she invited them to share a simple meal, bread, lentils, and kindness. Noor's awakening. As months passed, little Noor grew into a wise young girl. One night she asked her mother, "Noor, Mama, why didn't you let Malik Sahib suffer? He hurt us, Amina." "Because, my child, bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting others to die. Forgiveness cleanses the soul." Noor nodded, her eyes shining. "Noor, then I want to be like you, Mama, strong but kind." Amina, smiling, "No, my love, be better than me, be a light so strong that no one remembers the darkness." Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the power to end the chain of pain. When Amina forgave her enemy, she did not just save one heart, she healed a whole village. Sometimes the bravest act is not revenge, but mercy. Amina's courage and forgiveness changed Malik Rafiq's heart and restored honor to her name. The same village that once shamed her now sought her wisdom. Her daughter Noor grew in the light of her mother's example, learning that forgiveness is the truest form of strength. The legacy of light. The years of peace. Years passed in Noorabad. The air felt softer, the people kinder. Amina's home, once a place of gossip and isolation, had become a small center of hope, a place where villagers came to share food, stories, and prayer. Amina, now older, sewed not for money, but for meaning, stitching clothes for orphans and brides who couldn't afford their own wedding dresses. Her hair had turned silver, but her spirit shone brighter than ever. One morning, Malik Rafiq came again, this time not as a landlord, but as a humble friend. Malik Rafiq, "Sister Amina, the village council has decided to build a school. We want you to be its first teacher, for you have taught us all more than any book could." Amina, smiling, "Education is a garden that never stops blooming. Yes, I will help, but only if every child, boy, and girl is allowed to learn." Malik Rafiq, "That is my promise." And thus, the Noorabad Learning House was born, named after Amina's daughter, Noor, whose eyes reflected both innocence and wisdom. The seeds of knowledge. Amina taught not only words and numbers, but values, compassion, patience, humility, and faith. She often said to her students, "If your heart is clean, your mind will never be blind." Noor assisted her mother, teaching younger children to read the Quran and write letters. Together they turned the simple clay classroom into a sanctuary of dreams. Children began to imagine lives beyond the boundaries of poverty. The same villagers who once lived in shadows now sent their daughters to school. Inspired by the woman they once doubted, the shadow returns. But peace is always tested. One evening, news arrived that bandits were roaming nearby villages, burning schools and farms. Fear crept through Noorabad once again. Malik Rafiq gathered the men for protection, but one night, while everyone slept, The bandits attacked. Flames lit up the sky. The new school was burning. Amina rushed toward the fire, Noor by her side. Villagers tried to stop them. Villager: Amina, it's too dangerous. Amina: I cannot let darkness destroy what light has built. They entered together, pulling out books, slates, and frightened children. Smoke filled the air. Chaos reigned. Suddenly, a beam collapsed. Amina pushed Noor away just in time. The flames caught her scarf, but she tore it off and shielded a crying boy. The villagers finally managed to extinguish the fire, but Amina had collapsed, coughing heavily. The last dawn. Amina lay in her bed, weak but peaceful. Noor sat beside her, holding her hand tightly. Noor through tears: Mama, please don't leave me. You promised we would rebuild the school, Amina, whispering, and you will, my light. My time is done, but yours is just beginning. Noor: How can I do it without you? Amina: Remember what I taught you. Faith is not a lamp you hold. It's a fire you pass on. Tears rolled down Noor's cheeks as her mother smiled faintly. Amina: Forgive quickly, give freely, and never let the world make you hard. Noor, sobbing: I will, Mama. I promise. As dawn broke, the first light of morning touched Amina's face. Her lips moved softly in prayer. Then, like a candle gently flickering out, she returned to her Creator. The daughter's promise, days later, the entire village gathered to honor Amina. Men who once spoke against her now carried her bier with trembling hands. Women who once mocked her wept openly. Malika Rafiq spoke before the people. She came to us as a widow we pitied and left us as a teacher we will never forget. Noorabad has lost a woman, but gained a legacy. After the burial, Noor stood near her mother's grave, eyes filled with determination. Noor, quietly: Mama, you built this village with your patience. I will rebuild it with your teachings. And she did. The light continues. Years passed again. Noor grew into a graceful woman, her mother's reflection in every gesture. The Noorabad Learning House rose once more, stronger and larger than before. On the front wall, carved in bold letters, it read, Light is not inherited. It is created by those who refuse to give up. Noor became a respected teacher and mentor. Children called her Baji Noor. Every lesson she taught carried a trace of her mother's voice. One day, a little girl asked her, Girl, Baji Noor, how did your mother become so brave? Noor, smiling, Because she was not afraid to love, even those who hurt her. The eternal message: time moves on, but goodness never dies. It multiplies, through actions, through words, through hearts touched by compassion. Amina's life taught Noorabad that true power lies not in wealth or titles, but in niyat, intention. She proved that one woman, armed with patience and prayer, can change the course of an entire village. Moral of the story: patience is not weakness, it is strength in silence. Forgiveness transforms enemies into allies. One righteous soul can awaken 100 sleeping hearts. True legacy is not what you leave behind, but who you raise to continue your light.